Well, a very good evening to all the colleagues who enter the page. Welcome to the Phase A conference. Like every Tuesday and Friday, here on the page we transmit the entire agenda. And today we continue with a supremely important and very interesting conference called Astral Bending. Well, as always, we are going to say hello here to some people who are entering the page. Felipe is here, and there is also Stephen who accompanies us. For colleagues who do not appear here in the comments and who are arriving for the first time, we recommend watching conference number 1 of the agenda here at the bottom. Find the link and also find the Fogeos group where we publish what we do on the page. If you want to belong to this WhatsApp group, you can do so, and the Telegram group. Well, this is where Jose entered and Monica also entered. Welcome. Well, there is a Phase B conference tomorrow, don't forget, at 7 at night. On Sunday, as it is Christmas, we are not going to broadcast the practice at night, nor are we going to broadcast our teammate John's practice then, so that they take it into account, because everyone is with their family celebrating this Christmas party. Well, Hector also entered here, and our partner Angelica also entered. Well, welcome. Well, let's start tonight's topic. Today we're going to see conference number 3, of the agenda titled Astral Splitting. We see this conference on the agenda many times. Here in the Pass A, we are going to see it several 2-3 times. Phase B, we are also going to see it, because this conference is so many times, because this award is important. It is essential that you start having your experiences astral, because they need to verify everything that is knowledge. You are going to receive directly from the internal worlds a lot of information. This information is for you to mature, to understand, to see the harsh reality of what the universe, nature, and all the phenomena that have no explanation are. So that is why it is supremely important. The astral splitting, because you are going to become independent and you're going to come into contact with your own being, and the being is going to give you this information through this astral world. Well, Javier also entered here. Greetings for Jesus Peña, also the same as for Walter and for Daisy. Well, welcome. Well then, astral splitting is supremely important. It is the fastest research tool. You must begin to corroborate all the things on the agenda, past existences, recurrences, go to the court of divine justice. That is, you have to investigate thousands of things. Apart from that, the being is going to give you some important information that you need to mature. And always, every night, they are showing us that we have to work. So if you don't start to have astral, there will come a time when they are going to get bored. They are going to take this knowledge as simply an intellectual state. They're going to put a lot of information in their heads, and they're going to go looking for more information. What do I know? The internet, other schools, fill their heads with more theories than Forecraze. That is, The one who is working in the work of the being is supported by all the guidance that the teachers of the White Lodge give him astrally, the being, the father, the mother, all the parts of the being. And in this way you see his progress, and they mature in their own knowledge. So that is why this practice is supremely important. So we're going to see that every night, whether you want it or not, you are going to unfold, or it unfolds at the moment when you get sleepy. It unfolds, that unfolding is called sleeping. So you go away every night, or every time they fall asleep, they got to the astral plane it. Then they come back and say, there I dreamed, such as strange things. Some of these dreams come true in the physical, others are symbolic. So you say, I dreamed that, and it happened in the physical. So strange, here we're going to see that it's not so strange. Here we're going to see that everything has areas and for being. So when you begin to realize the astral plane, you're going to begin to manage it voluntarily. It is not a dream. It is already something that can be controlled. It can be managed. And that is the objective of knowledge, to have control over that astral plane, to use that astral plane to seek inner advancement. Well, there is the solar astral plane. In this solar astral plane, only consciousness moves. And there is the lunar astral, where every night people go to dream. But there also exists in this egoic lunar astral all those awakened in evil, witches, black magicians, all the elements that move in the astral awakened in evil. But consciousness does not move within the vibration of the ego. Consciousness moves in the solar part. So we must differentiate the lunar astral from the solar astral, because one tends to confuse one thing with another. So what I'm going to unfold to do harm, that's what I do. But since here we are not awakening egos in evil, but rather we are awakening conscience, then they are not going to do evil, or that an ego of lust has entered into them, and I'm going to go see the neighbor naked. That is an ego like no other. We are in that process because we are killing lust, because this type of unfolding is not going to happen, because immediately the law or father or mother will always be looking at the person in what situation, what state they are in. So no, I'm leaving to unfold to go look at the lottery number because I want to win it. Forget all that. Here we are going to seek progress in the awakening of consciousness, not to feed lust or greed. That is what a black magician would do. We are not in that process of awakening to evil. So because people come with many concepts, with many hidden desires, with many needs to degenerate further with the ego, and here they will not find what the egos are looking for. So by clarifying this, people can focus better on what is astral splitting from the point of view of consciousness. Well, we greet Carmen, who has entered now. Pablo also joins us tonight. Welcome.
Bueno, entonces vamos a ver cómo es que vamos a dominar.
That astral, How are we going to manage it? How are we going to develop the conscious astral? In the astral, there's neither the past nor the future. It's an eternal now. So you can get into the past, you can get into the future, you can get into it. The future does not exist. What exists is the repetition of the past, but you can get into a past existence, investigate its things, what they did, and in that way you can bring information that helps you understand what is being manifested to you at this moment that come precisely from the past. There is unfolding outwards and inwards. So most of the time we unfold inward towards our psychological country, our inner world, and very rarely we unfold towards this plane called the third dimension. We are interested in moving forward. So the unfolding is a function of seeing our psychology, of seeing how the selves move in the astral. The person is going to be given information that cannot be revealed publicly to anyone. It is something extremely private. You will be given open book information that you can speak on the physical plane when you give a lecture. If you need that information, you can use it. But there is information that is too jealous, too secret, too private, that is given to the being and that cannot be talked about. You will know through intuition what can be talked about and what cannot.
Sí.
Well, we have a guide for those who don't have it to interpret astral experiences. So if you want that guide and don't have it, you can put the email and we will send it back to you so that you yourself can begin to interpret your own astral experiences. There they are going to give you a lot of information, many messages. So it is important that you begin to have direct contact with your being. It is also important to be clear about it. The astral is here and now, at this moment when the psychic part comes out at night so that the physical part recovers from the energy spent. If that's why the psychic part leaves the astral, it does not disconnect because it is connected through a cord called the silver cord or the Dantakarana cord. And that's why the person does not die. When they cut that cord, well, he already dies. That is what the angel of death that we saw in the previous conference would do. But every night that cord keeps the psychic part united with the physical and the vital. Then the astral one, it goes to the fifth dimension. The physical remains in the third and is revitalized. Then, when the physical body is recovered, it is recharged. Then the psychological part returns and the person wakes up the next day and continues his or her activities for the day. So let us keep that in mind. This is a natural process, and do not get carried away by that bit of fearful intellectual elements that come to say that if they unfold, they will stay there. That if they unfold, an evil spirit enters them every night they unfold, whether they want to or not. Unfold if nothing has happened to them. Unfolding unconsciously. Much less is something going to happen to them if they are conscious. That is, it is simply a basic reflection to realize so that they realize that these nonsense of elements that they have no knowledge of begin to scare people so that it does not unfold. There appear all these religious fanatics that is satanic, that about dreams. The Bible is full of information that God spoke to Abraham and Moses and the other, and that the angel appeared in dreams. There it is. But when one is mentally ill, they have an atrophied brain and mind, so they have been killed with fear because these fanatic people talk nonsense. So don't get carried away with that. If you don't want to, because if you don't want to, then continue thinking as you are thinking, and that's it. But well, here we give them revolutionary knowledge so that they leave behind so many intellectual things and understand the crude reality of natural phenomena and how the psyche works. Very well. Now that we have clarified this, then we are going to see how we are going to dominate that astral, how we are going to move consciously in the astral, how we are going to do the research that we need to do to corroborate this knowledge. Because here it is not, it's about coming to put information in your head, and that's it. Because this is not a religious or theoretical teaching. So you have to start investigating, because that thing of swallowing whole, imagine all the information that we have in our head of dubious origin, that nobody guarantees us that this is true. Well, we need to corroborate all that and remove all the garbage that we have put in our heads. And that's what this practice is for. Well, then I said that the astral is here and now, at this moment. What is your astral? Already here and now? Well, it is nothing other than the mind and emotion, that is, and that is the astral. Talks, images, concepts, fears, worries, despair, anxieties, mechanical imagination, fantasies, illusions, fears, beliefs, all that amount of fears, beliefs, all that amount of self is in the head. And talk and talk and talk all day long. Totally dominated by the lunar astral, the ego, full of rage during the day, full of despair, stress, anguish, a totally lunar emotion. They are dominated day and night by the lunar astral. The lunar astral is the astral of the ego. They receive this knowledge and begin to realize that they must dominate that astral. And how are they going to dominate it? How are they going to manage that astral? Well, killing him, dominating the mind. Why are they thinking? They must be silent, concentrated, assimilating the information, reflecting and maintaining the power, the memory of themselves over that mind and that emotion. Through death, when you are dying during the day, that's it. You have the lunar astral dominated. The only thing you need is for it to give you a little sleep. And that's it. You go out to the conscious astral. At first, when you come to knowledge, you realize that it helps you a lot, that the being awakens your consciousness often to give you an impulse, a strength. Then look to see how they earn the astral, because you've already checked, you're sure, so you have to make efforts, and you have to work very hard for psychological death so that they give you a little bit of astral. So there are days, there are nights where they give more astral, others less, but you still have to make the effort in the work of psychological death. If you now want a concrete astral, a solid astral, you have to create the astral body and the mental body. There, we've already talked about something specific.
Por ahora nos dan astral y luchamos por unos espacios
of mastery in the astral at night, or, well, when you go to rest. Then you have to be clear about that. And I repeat, if you do not begin to have your experiences, because you do not work on psychological death or you do not work on the three factors, you're going to be disappointed. They're going to get tired, they're going to get fed up, and the mind begins, there must be more. And they begin to put in more pseudo-esoteric, mystical information. No, there is another school. There's other information here, and then another school, and then the East, and no. Now they are going to go out to the astral with yaj, with marijuana, with peyote, and with there are now all marijuana users and all drugged with concepts due to lack of responsibility and seriousness in the work of death. With death alone, they do not need more. Death alone allows them concerted astral splitting. So I clarify that so that they keep in mind that if they are going to do things correctly on the white side, then you have to work hard on the day of psychological death and get out of all these concepts, that you don't have to make a pact, that you have to make a ritual with the plant, and that is going to take it to the astral and all these things. All of this is part of pseudo-esotericism. The only thing a person needs is to master that astral, to end up destroying that lunar astral, to be able to get directly into the solar astral. Well, let's see that this is the base practice for the day, and we need to become aware. Let's see how the practice is done. There are several ways to do this practice. We're going to name a few. With the waking dream, you stay there waiting until the detachment of the psychology of the physical body occurs. You can also unfold yourself only by dying from moment to moment, death in progress. And you realize when it unfolds. If you cannot realize when you unfold, because that process is very fast and is very sensitive, then you will appear in the astral conscious also by mantralization. You can unfold. You can unfold with just concentration. Then they concentrate in one place and they will arrive there. But they must also have very good concentration with their imagination. Or better yet, with concentration and imagination. So that is very simple. We should not see this as something very complicated, as something that only super expert elements do. All of this is the vagaries of these intellectualoids who complicate everything. These intellectual selves are among the first to start killing because they give everything a problem. They put distances to everything. They add complexities. So this is simple. This is something very natural that if the person is judicious at work, he will see it well. We're going to do all the practice. You make your conjuration, your magic circle, you close, then you make a small supplication, assistance to the father and mother with your own words, to help them, to help them. Give them strength, give them the ability to concentrate, give them will, while they ask you for whatever they need to help them with that. If they want, they can relax the physical body. This is optional. If not, then just a few deep breaths, and they enter directly into the practice. Each one handles this according to how they want. The important thing is, as I tell you here, the most important thing is death on the day, because the practice that I am talking about here is a support for that work of death in the day is not that they were bragging all day and they did not concentrate and they did not kill a single self. And so now we're going to do the practice, and the practice has to give us results because we believe that that is. So it turns out not to. If they are not working on death, then there is no astral. If they do the practice, they suddenly give them something. No, they don't give them a gift. They help them with some little thing, some information, some experience, some guidance that the father or mother gives them. But as I tell you, the basis of unfolding is death. Well, and you can use mantras, you can use the pharaoh, the laris, you can use the O, you can use the which other? The R, lengthening it, then any of these mantras works for you. Then you are going to get out of bed with the intention of checking if you have unfolded. Without thinking, you get out of bed, you jump, and then if you end up floating, you unfold. They must set a goal. What do you want? Where do you want to go? What do they want to know? And they ask the person, the father, to bring it to them. And that's it. It is very simple. Then there are many signs that make them understand that they have unfolded, so they can feel that it is spinning. They can also feel that it is floating. They can begin to see figures in the air, in the room. And those are symptoms that they are unfolding. They can feel that they are floating. They can feel a sound, like a cricket in the room. They can feel that they are going at high speed. Well, there are many symptoms that make them understand that they are already unfolding or have already unfolded. Every night, we cannot go to bed without having a goal. We always have to be asking something to give you the answer. Well, let's see the mantras, how they are made, and what is the way to pronounce pronunciation. We have the pharaoh. You simply lengthen the la vowel, and then fa is pronounced very simple, very simple. Concentrate on the frown in a pyramid, on the entire forehead. Imagine the pyramid, right? It is a very simple Egyptian pyramid. Let's see the mantra of the O. They concentrate on the heart. They simply lengthen the O. They feel the vibration. They concentrate on the vibration, and that allows the astral body to vibrate more. The vibration intensifies, and this allows them, or it helps them with the unfolding. They make a mantra for practice. They don't do them all, but they do just one. I really use death in motion, which is what works the most, because it works for me. I like it. I feel comfortable. But that doesn't mean that these mantras aren't useful.
Bien, el laras, se van a concentrar en el entrecejo y se pronuncia alargándolo también. Muy sencillo, no tiene ninguna complejidad. Lo pueden hacer en voz alta unas 5 veces, 4 veces y luego lo hacen mentalmente.
If you want until you feel the symptoms and verify that they have folded well. The R, this sounds like a cat, like the purr of a cat. No, it is not. It is silenced. I don't know if you can hear it. Well, like a cat. And we also have the S. It is another mantra that you're going to concentrate on between the eyebrows as well, and it is pronounced like fire. Very easy.
Eh,
Also, the O with M are concentrated in the heart. O-N-I-N-I-N-I. And that's it. These are the mantras that can help you look to see which one works for you. There are ideologies. There's any amount of information out there. There are companions or people who have this knowledge that is half mystical. And that is what they do. They know about 50 mantras and they are not unfolded, pure, cheap intellectualism. Here we give you the easiest ones, the simplest ones, so that you don't put so much garbage in your head, because it is impressive. Since everyone wants to bring it to the intellect, they don't practice, so they fill up of theories. That doesn't work. No, how many splitting systems are there? Like 20 or 30. With this, the simplest, the most important, death in motion. It's not anymore. But no, it is that it raises its paw and that it raises the east and it does this and that at sunrise in the moon, and that the moon is full pure intellectual vagabondities, that no, it is terrible, pure cheap mysticism that does not allow them have clarity, security, see things in summary. Then there we find all this bit of cheap Gnostic ideologies that are of no use. We need to be in a very pressing moment of accelerating the work processes, and not everything is retarded. Everything is putting information into that head until more, I couldn't call it pure wisdom, intellectual wandering. With death alone, it unfolds. I don't use these mantras much. I work more with death in progress. I concentrate, I start to die, I visualize what I want, and I start working on it. Death, and there I arrive, because I arrive, of course. Sometimes I have to put one on tests. So let's see what tenacity he has to get the information. Then I have to do internships for 1 hour, 2 hours, but they give me information, they give it to me. Then it is important not to put so much into your head, because there are companions here who come from beyond the gnosis and continue with their mystical things and their little rituals and their mystical nonsense. It is time to get serious. It is time to get out of that sticky sheath, dirty, slimy, and get to work seriously. That here the most important thing is psychological death, death in progress, reflective death. That is what truly gives a person's astral, as I tell you. This practice is a reinforcement to that psychological death. Well, don't get carried away because it's just very showy. It's very, you want to have it information and fill that head with information. And as I tell you, they call that what wisdom is, that it knows a lot. Imagine that you know 50 ways to unfold yourself and it never unfolds. Nonsense. Totally, of course. Then they will misinterpret what I'm saying and come out with nonsense. I'm attacking knowledge. Ugh, no, it's just that. What a terror. Ugh, it's twisting. Well, nonsense. Well, I'm attacking knowledge is not what terror is twisting. Well, nonsense. Well, then let's continue. They get up periodically. They jump to see if they unfolded. They pull a finger. They put their hand in the wall with the intention of going through it to see if they unfolded. Yes, they unfolded their hand. It is going to go through the wall. So since they have a goal, they go where they intended to go, and that's it. They receive the information they have to receive. They return to the physical, they do a retrospection, they get the information, and they already know things. That's how it works. This is nothing more, sis. And there, each one matures. He accelerates his process, his direct contact with the being, and he does not need so much nonsense and intellectual nonsense. Well, with this, I end the conference. We are going to move on to the concerns, the questions. But next week, we are going to see a supremely important conference called the Seven Centers of the Human Machine. Balancing those centers to be able to create or manufacture the energy to be able to create the internal bodies. And logically, if it doesn't balance those centers, it doesn't wake up. Then we're going to talk about this very interesting conference. Everyone is cordially invited. Well, let's look at some concerns that I already see here. Vladimir says, I didn't know that, and they rightly say that splitting is bad. I said that they do it to do witchcraft. Well, there, you see the difference here. We are not going to wake up in evil, but we're going to wake up in the solar part. So here in this conference, we can see the difference between the lunar astral and the solar astral. Vladimir, well, splitting is not bad. The bad one is one who uses it incorrectly, because if a self uses it, it is incorrect. If the conscience uses it, because it is correct. Well, here it says to good be called Dink Ready. He gave us the email, so we're going to send it tanked. Well, the guy John tells us that today there is a lot of hype regarding astral exits, a course to learn how to unfold. But in the light of this conference, it is an unfolding towards the astral of the planet, but nothing is said about unfolding inwards to receive. Information about psychology for inner advancement. Most of the time one turns inward to see one's psychological entities. There one goes to see lust and sees oneself turned into a pig. All greasy, all smelly, all dirty, because that is the way of Vermchucks. Well, one's lust, not from lust, because there are several kinds, and then one realizes how filthy and how degenerate one is. And well, then one begins to change little by little with death. Angelica, someone recently told me that she was left with mental problems, permanent health. By taking Yajay and the shamans who did these practices always remained full of energy, while the patients always looked emaciated. But look, when you begin to awaken your consciousness, and the being begins to show you in the astral, what's that?
Ustedes inmediatamente se retiran de todas esas vagamunderías misticonas, chamanistas del yo indígena, porque eso es un yo, el yo chamán. Y todas estas formas que utilizan para meter a las personas en todas estas vibraciones, ese es un ácido muy fuerte que puede dañar el cuerpo. Daña el hígado, puede la persona quedar con cierto
mental problem, because it depends on the amount, the dose, the weakness that the person has, the karma that they bring. Then some will be more affected than others. And that is not the way. You should not use drugs or external systems or pacts with anyone or use rituals. None of these things to reveal oneself. This is done in a natural way, and each one can do it. But since we have that easygoing self, that show-stopping self, well, then we do these things. Well, law just says, and how not to be theories. Death in progress is the most difficult thing, not to believe how to make it so that you can really do it. Not if I explain it to myself, because it is useless to do it like this. Just look. The problem is that the mind puts a lot gray. The problem is that this is something natural. It is something simple. The problem is that we all see it as difficult, but we all see it as unattainable.
incansable.
This is mental laziness. Well, let's kill that mental laziness. Let's focus. Let's fight to achieve it, and we will achieve it. That's all. And without excuses, without justifications, but just play, 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 and I put it here and it doesn't appear.
Eh,
It's nonsense. If we're going to work, then we're going to work. And if we're not going to work, then let's fill ourselves with excuses and justifications and do nothing. And that's it. But he who is going to work seriously and he who is going to do things as they are, then he does them. He sees the results. He is silent. He's not saying anything to anyone, and he knows where he is going, and whoever wants things makes things easier. Because then he's going to be raped by the witch or the warlock if he comes out gay. And he's going to do this ritual with the indigenous and all that bit of laziness that the majority of lazy people who don't want to work with death as it should be. And that's it, and everything is good. Here says that more to see here, Loxus says over there, so to speak. I believe everything that you say, but I can't practice it. My egos gain more, so to speak. Even if I want to experiment, you can't. That's what I just said, I can't. This is very difficult. All of that is from laziness, ill will. Wanting is power. Because I am here. Why am I talking about this topic? Do you think I'm here to find followers?
pues,
So they can give me a like? So they can subscribe to my channel? I'm not even interested in that. What's more, I'm not even interested in what your names are. I came here to give a teaching that I have verified that I am practicing. I want to help humanity, and it is my responsibility to deliver this teaching in a very clear way to all people. People who want to. Then we have some blockages, and we have some traumas, and we have a number of things that must be eliminated from the fore. More this Rita says the splitting always happens when we are asleep. It is that if she is asleep, she is already split, but she split unconsciously. The idea is that she is in the astral and says, well, there, I left my body in the bed. I am here. I am here in the fifth dimension. I'm going to invoke the teacher Jesus, or I'm going to invoke the father or mother to know them or recognize them, and that they give me a teaching. Or I'm going to go to such a place, or I'm going to enter a past existence, or I'm going to go look through what has gone so wrong for me in this miserable existence. What are the karmas that I am paying? Is that these are real things. These are not fantasies of the mind. These are things of life, things that the person must become aware of. And that is what knowledge teaches us to awaken our conscience. Well, here says Germania, says good night. So it is without effort. There are no results here. Only those who work, work. Those who do not work get bored and leave. The same force takes it out. No one takes it out on their own, and then they start to deny that it doesn't work for me. It didn't work for me. Well, of course, it's going to work for a lazy person. It's not going to work for him at all. He's always going to be with his laziness and his bad will. And then he needs someone to take him in the car, and he has to pay to be taken to heaven. And there, they end up in a little school, exploiting him, because that is laziness. Francisco, how much is the good or bad use of sexual energy related to the astral exits when the person begins to create bodies? Internal. Creates the astral body, the mental body, because logically the splitting is simpler. It has more energy inside. We're talking about suprasex. Suprasex is the practice between a man and a woman, a stable couple, where each one uses his sexual energy, transmutes it to create the internal bodies, regenerates the physical and vital body, and creates the astral, mental, and causal bodies. Well, but we see it there in the conferences, right? I think there are some new colleagues here. All welcome. My name is Luis Carlos, and I teach here on this page, but there are more pages out there where there are other colleagues also giving the same logical knowledge, each with their own way of teaching, but it is the same knowledge. Well, I think there are no more concerns. It seems that everything became very clear. So don't forget, work hard on death in progress. Look for the memory of yourself. Let's stop mentally fornicating all day, emotionally fornicating all day, throwing away enormous amounts of mental, emotional, instinctive energy. Then, what we are looking for here is to stop wasting energy and focus on feeding ourselves, revitalizing ourselves, developing atrophied neurons. We have a brain developed more or less by 4 or 5%. Imagine then, you put energy into that brain and it develops its capabilities. Very high levels of consciousness are atrophying. So that's what the energy is for, to feed us back, to develop us, to heal us. Well, I think there are no more concerns, then says Lorena. Blessings to all the companions of self-knowledge, not being more. I say goodbye. May the being accompany you, that give you strength, give you lots of information in the astral. Remember that this path is you with your being. There is no room for third parties. Here we are companions who are all on the same path, but each one in his own lane.
No siendo más, me despido, que pasen un resto de noche agradable, que les vaya bien en sus astrales. Hasta luego.